It's only right that I mention, since we're drawing on Twitter so much tonight and every week, that Jim co-founded Square with the co-founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, another St. Louis guy.
Another St. Louisan, yeah.
Okay, so we're talking tech, we're talking startups, we're talking entrepreneurship. You fit into all those categories. I want to talk about a couple of things. One, what you're doing next, but first, give me your view of what is going on in St. Louis right now. What do you see?
So it's a renaissance. There is more activity in St. Louis than I've ever seen. And from all areas, from life sciences.
Now, the county council or the RCGA or former RC, they didn't pay you to say that. You
no,
really believe this.
We haven't taken any money. It's
Okay.
it's just happening. It's an organic movement, and I don't know what the catalyst was, but the energy's here, and things are getting people are getting things done.
What do you see that we need, and that's a leading question to talk about what you're working on now?
Well, what we need is the basics. We need talented entrepreneurs with ideas. We need teams for them to build, so the talent, and then we need money to let them build it all together.
So what is Launch Code? Get us up to speed on what Launch Code is.
So Launch Code is a simple effort to take people who have programming aptitude and get them into jobs. What we noticed was that there was a huge talent deficit among the companies here in town. As a matter of fact, we've identified over 5,000 job openings. These are companies, name brand companies, that have to hire new people, but they can't fill those positions. At the same time, we've noticed that people who know how to code but don't have enough experience to get past the HR departments at a lot of these companies can't get entry-level jobs. So what Launch Code simply does is it bridges this gap. We take people who know how to code and we get them into basically paired programming positions. So basically what we do is we take a newbie, we put them in a company paired with an experienced developer. Mm-hmm. They work as a team, and this is how we develop code out in Silicon Valley. It's the best way to develop code. You pair two people up and they work together. The cool thing is that if you pair somebody who's experienced with somebody who's new, the new person comes up to speed very quickly. So it's almost risk-free for the companies, but it's a quick way in and it's a great way to learn. And right now we've got 100 companies in Launch Code, and about half of them have had their positions filled.
This is not a business, this is not a product. Why do you want to get involved in something like this?
So it's not a business. It was just something it was a problem that needed to be solved. And I talked about it a year ago, and I didn't do anything about it, and a year went by, and somebody reminded me that I'd talked about it, and I hadn't done anything.
I've heard you say something like talent surplus is what you would like to see in St. Louis.
So
that's a lofty goal.
Right, but I think it's possible because if you look at the region, we have the ability to train at the companies. So the real training with Launch Code occurs in two places. First of all, the programmer sits in his or her basement, works through some free online courses, learns their chops. Then we match them in the company. And when they're at the company, they're actually doing real work, but they're also learning at the same time. So every company, every one of the 100 companies that have signed up, and the hundreds of companies that we will get to sign up, all of those are training grounds. And so if we turn all that talent loose, we will not just be stealing resources from each other, we'll be actually creating new talent in town. And we can create a talent surplus, because nobody else in the country, or in the world for that matter, is doing anything like this. So St. Louis is the first place that this is happening.
Do they get paid while they're doing this?
Yeah, so they get $15 an hour, which is a very low wage, but they only have to keep that $15 an hour position until they either get hired or fired. So if the company has a job opening, they desperately want to fill it. So they want to get this person through the $15 an hour phase as quickly as possible and offer them a job. But again, if the person doesn't work out, the company's under no obligation, so they're willing to take a risk.
Do these people, these potential candidates for Launch Code, live in St. Louis now? Because we've had people on the show who say, we have X number of jobs open and we can't find people to fill those jobs in this town. Or are you looking for people to come in from elsewhere?
So right now, Launch Code is limited to people who live in St. Louis, simply because we haven't done it we've never done it end to end, and therefore we don't know what we can get away with. So we've had some people that have come in from Kansas City and Chicago to get these jobs, just because they heard about Launch Code. And what we've said to them is, look, before you move your family, let us at least do one cycle of the program so we know what the statistical chance of your success is. After we get through these first 100 placements, we'll know statistically, if you have these skills and we put you at this company, you have an 87% chance of getting a full-time job. And then I can tell somebody to move their family across country. So right now we're drawing from the St. Louis region, but as soon as we know what we're doing, then I can draw from all over the world.
What companies are you working with, and how has this idea been received?
So we're working from some of the biggest companies, Stiefel, Express Scripts, Monsanto, MasterCard, some of the marquee names, Enterprise, I could list them all, but I'd offend those who I missed.
Right.
There are over 100 companies in the program, all the way from the billion-dollar companies down to two-man startups. So it spans the gamut. The interesting thing is that when we were recruiting companies, every single company we talked to said yes. Nobody rejected the offer of joining LaunchCode. There's so much demand.
What else do we need in this town besides the coders you're talking about?
Well, I mean, capital always helps. We've got pretty much everything else. I mean, if you've got...
Really, Jim? Everything else?
Yeah, really. I mean, look...
Then why isn't Twitter based here in St. Louis?
Because we didn't have the resources back when Jack was scaling Twitter. I mean, look, we started Square here. The idea, was hatched on Del Mar Boulevard. Jack and I are both from here. And we tried to open an office here, but when we started that office, what we were doing was we were hiring away from other companies. And I would, have my friends call up and, hey, you just stole my best guy. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, man. But I mean, I was feeling guilty for growing a company at the expense of other firms. And I don't feel guilty stealing talent from Google.
Right.
It doesn't really bother me to take a couple of guys out of some of the tech, the Silicon Valley companies. But here there just wasn't a supply.
So if you started Square today, would it be different, do you think? Has St. Louis changed?
Yeah, so we're a little bit further ahead. I don't know that we could grow a company that's growing as rapidly as Square is here in this town right now. I mean, we're still...
Why not?
Because we're hiring hundreds of programmers. We have 700 people, probably 400 of them are engineers. That's a lot of talent.
Is the money here that companies need to take it to the next level?
Look, money follows opportunity. Money is not geographically bound. So if there's opportunity here, the money will follow it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look into the future. Show me your crystal ball. What's the future of St. Louis in a sentence or two do you see?
I see tremendous talent. I see a couple of great unexpected successes, both in life sciences and in the traditional tech startups.
Jim McKelvey, thank you.